Hello viewers, I am Dr. Gauravatri from the Department of Commerce, BSSS College. Let's talk about economic growth and economic development. In today's lecture, I will be discussing about economic growth and development, its limitation as an indicator, then economic growth, its component and factors influencing, economic development, its component and its factors influencing, difference between the approaches of growth and development, and a relationship between growth and development. So let's begin our lecture. Talking about the basic concept about growth and development. When we talk about economic growth, it simply means the increase in the quantity of goods and services produced, typically measured by GDP growth. On the other side, economic development means a more comprehensive improvement in the overall quality of life of a society. So, when we talk about economic growth and economic development, let's assume an example of a child, a kid. When we talk about a kid, his height increases, weight increases, and intellectually also he increases. So, we term it as growth. But on the other side, when that particular person grows as an adult, and he is able to take his decisions, he is able to mature himself as a good citizen of a country, and he is able to have a good standard of life, a healthy living standard he maintains. So, we call it as development. So, growth and development are two aspects, two approaches, two concepts which are interconnected and interrelated. Growth should always result towards development, and development can be attained when we are having a proper growth. So, let's talk about how we measure this economic growth and development. In general, we consider in the economy national income as the benchmark standard for economic growth and prosperity. But when we talk about this national income, that is GDP, gross domestic product of a country, which simply means the final goods and services produced within the territorial boundaries of a country. So, when we talk about that GDP, it helps you to indicate, it helps you to measure that how the country is evolving, how the policies and strategies of the country, of the nation are formulated, and what is the output of that particular nation. It is a very good indicator of economic growth, but at the same point of time, this indicator lays with very basic approaches like number one, GDP is not able to measure the environmental abuse. Due to economic growth and economic development, due to output in the production process, we get various hazards towards the economy, and that hazardous waste cannot be measured with the help of GDP. On the other side, those products which are not being introduced in the market or the non-monetary exchange, which we are doing just as a barter system for give and take purpose, those products are also omitted in the GDP calculation. Then we also miss out the impact of inflation. With the help of GDP, we are able to just calculate the output and its components in the economy, but at the same point of time, the GDP impact with relation to inflation on the livelihood of the people are not properly being calculated. Then there are various external factors like policies, political issue, cultural, social, and various other aspects that are again missed out. Income pattern. The income of the consumer changes over the period of time, and how these changes are bringing a change in the growth prospects, the development of the nation is also missed out. And last not least, all these things should be focused on welfare. So, considering the welfare aspect, we talk about two basic approaches. First one, we call it as economic growth, and second one is economic development. So, let's quickly understand the basic meaning definition of economic growth. Economic growth simply means an increase in the value of goods and services produced in an economy over a period of time, and it can be calculation be done in terms of percentage increase in the GDP. So, whenever my GDP is increasing, we assume, we consider that the growth of the person is taking place. Like for an example, when you are getting good marks over the period of time, when your height is increasing, when your weight is increasing, we consider that your growth is there. But is it actually resulting in the development? Are you actually maturing as a good citizen of a country? So, we talk about the development aspect also, and economic development refers to the process by which economic well-being and quality of life of a nation community, or particular region are improved according to predefined goals and objectives. Like when we say that our country wants to be a developed nation, our country wants to have resources. So it does not simply means that we want to achieve a certain level of GDP growth in our economy, but we also assume that all the citizens in the country are getting good standard of living, they are having good food, they are getting good medical facilities, education, and various other things are also included in it. So what are the components of economic growth? The first very basic component of economic growth is expansion in population and labor force. So whenever we are going to have more population, population is not a curse for an economy, but rather this population gives you more labor supply. It helps you to generate further market in the economy. It helps you to give more of the demand side of the economy. So when we are talking about the manpower, the labor force in the economy, growth also helps you to get more labor. They are going to be more intellectually sound, more educated, they will be skilled in their performance, and they will be able to perform their duties in a better manner. Number two, it advances in technology and innovation. We will be able to get new technologies, new innovations, new approaches will be followed, new initiatives will be taken, so that we will be able to achieve the traditional old school problems with a better technique of having efficiency in our work. Then accumulation of physical and human capital. We want to accumulate the physical resources and the capital resources, human capital resources, in which we include all type of tools, equipments and other type of resources for the functioning of the economy. And last not least, we also need macroeconomic stability, in which we try to determine how policies and strategies could bring a better stable economy, which can lead towards a better functioning of the entire nation. We do not want fluctuations in the economy. We want them to be at a smooth level with an equilibrium level achieved. Then there are certain implications of economic growth also. The first basic implication, as I said, is to increase the standard of living. We all thrive for having better standard of living. We want to eat a good quality of food, we want to have a better hygiene, we want to have good education, we want to have good wellness and healthcare facilities. So overall, the entire standard of living is going to be enhanced with the help of having good economic growth. Number two, potential for reducing unemployment and poverty. Poverty and unemployment has been a basic problem from the very beginning of our economy, and we need to cater this particular problem by having good economic growth strategies. When growth will be there, this growth is going to be influential to all the sectors in the economy, and everyone is going to get properly employed, and that will obviously lift the people from the bar of poverty. So economic growth leads towards better employability and having a better standard of living. Then the third one, it enhances government revenue, the usage of government revenue, the collection of government revenue through various taxation and other policies is going to be enhanced in a very positive manner, and that enables the government to utilize this sum of public investment and social welfare programs in a better and in an opportunity manner for the overall growth of the economy, because we talk about the overall positive growth towards the economic well-being. Then there are certain factors that influence the economic growth also. These factors are: number one, human resource. We want to have the best of the human resource in our economy. Number two, the infrastructure development is highly required along with the good human resource capital in our economy. We also want a very strong infrastructure. Without skilled human, we will not be able to utilize our tools and machinery. Without having good infrastructure, we will not be able to utilize our human resource. So we want both of them to be growing all together. Then these things should be in a planned, organized manner. All our natural resources which are not going to last very long, so we need to have a sustainable planned utilization of these resources. Then population growth. Population is always required to be monitored properly. We need population, but in a regulated manner. So with the help of growth strategies like China followed, like India also followed. So we need to have a proper planned approach for growth, and we need to meet the needs of this growing population. And last not least, we are talking about advancement in the technology. All these things should be in a better technical manner, so that the problems can be sorted in a very easy and approachable manner. Then let's talk about the another aspect of the coin, which is economic development. As I said, both of these things go hand in hand. They are both required to be done in the economy altogether. Without growth, development is not possible, and development needs to achieve with the help of growth strategies. Growth should lead towards the development of the economy. The process by which economic well-being and quality of life of a nation, community and particular region are improved according to predetermined goals and objectives is known as economic development. Economic development is a combination of market productivity and welfare values of the nation. That means we are trying to add value to our growth aspect. Growth is there. A person is able to get good salary, good income. He is able to meet its expenditure. But are they in the manner of sustainability? Are they having quality in itself? So we just not talk about the quantitative aspect, but we also talk about the qualitative aspects of the economic well-being. So let's further talk about the components of economic development. The very first and basic component is of the social factor. We need to consider nation not just as a mechanism, not just as an industry, rather this is one country, one nation, one family, and the entire society should be given due importance. So social factor is a very important factor whereby we need to consider all these things on the society's basis, what society likes, how it performs the thing, what things are acceptable in the society, and how we can achieve the level of proper efficiency in the society. Then environmental sustainability. All these things should be done with the approach of having a good environmental sustainability. We have seen in the last few days, we have seen the problem of air pollution, we have seen the problem of noise pollution, and our growth and development should not be on the basis of compromising with the Mother Earth, compromising with the environment. Rather, these things should be in the best manner to have the environmental upliftment instead of having depletion in our environment. So when we talk about growth and development, instead of having ozone layer depletion, carbon footprinting, we should think about that how environmental resources, how natural resources can be sustained. Then equitable distribution, as we have discussed, we want all these things to be distributed in a proper manner in our economy. Then only we call it as growth. One sector should not be neglected for the growth of another sector. So this distribution should take place in a better, equitable and justified manner. Whosoever needs whatever type of resources, they must be distributed in a proper manner, equitable and justified manner. Moving further, let's talk about the factors that determine economic development. The very first factor is institutional development. In institutional development, we talk about the policies, strategies, and how we are going to have a focused approach, a planned approach towards achieving the levels of growth and development in the economy. Then we talk about human resource, human capital. The most important resource in the economy is human, not just the natural resources, because human resource can achieve all those things that we dream of. So if we are going to have a good quality of skilled laborer, skilled workforce in our economy, then we are going to achieve the right direction towards economic growth. Then infrastructure. We also need right type of tools, equipments and infrastructure in our economy. All these things should lead towards a better economic growth. Our efficiency should increase, our potential should increase, and we should not be wasting our resources because of lack of infrastructure. So for that reason, we need to have a very strong base of infrastructural approach in our country. Then technological advancement and innovation. As we discussed with the economic growth also, we need to have a very high standard of technological growth, technological investment, technological growth, technological advancement, so that new innovations, new initiatives can be taken and will be able to counter the basic problem of economy in a more fruitful and easy manner. Then the macroeconomic stability. We want all these things to be stable in a better manner, and these stability should lead towards having a proper economic framework. There must not be fluctuation. Like when we talk about our neighboring countries, our neighboring nations, they are facing challenges because of their economic strategy, economic problems. So we want a stable, more smooth policies in our country so that these strategies can grow in a right direction with a right focus. Then let's talk about trade and global integration. When we are talking about economy, now the entire world has become a global village, and we want our economy to trade with other countries, and other countries also should have a market in my country. So with the help of growth strategies, development strategies, we should think that how all these things should trade and have a global approach with the market. All these things should be in a proper alignment. Then natural resources and environment. So we should always try to keep up our natural resources with a sustainable approach. And finally, the cultural and social factors of any particular nation, any country is very important, because human factor is the most important factor, and we should obey, respect the culture and social aspects of the country, and all these things should have an enrichment in the cultural of that particular nation. Then let's talk about the basic indicators of economic development. Unlike the indicators of GDP, inflation and other benchmarks in economic growth, in economic development we have indicators like Human Development Index, Physical Quality of Life Index, Gini coefficient and poverty rate. So these indicators are used for measuring the right economic development, because it shows the overall picture of an economy, that how well economy is performing in which particular direction. Like we can see the birth expectancy, which relates to health, then mean year of schooling and expected rate of schooling, which represents the education, then gross national income per capita, which leads to living standards of the country, and all these things combinedly make a good Human Development Index. So Human Development Index is not just earning salary, having good income or profit or wages, but if you are going to have good health, good living standard, good level of education, all these in totality is required for having a good standard of living. Coming towards the conclusion of my lecture, let's briefly discuss about the economic growth and development and a difference between them. So economic growth and development. Economic growth leads towards the increase in market output that results in economic growth. On the other side, economic development measures the welfare values and market output. It is a quantitative concept when we talk about economic growth, but on the other side, economic development is a qualitative concept which talks about how the quality can be enhanced with the economic approach. Economic growth is unidimensional. On the other side, economic development is multidimensional. This is one of the major concerns of developed nations when we talk about economic growth, like our country. On the other side, economic development is the concern of developing countries. Economic growth is dependent of development, which is the most important factor, as I said just now, and economic development can only happen when economic growth takes place. When we talk about the indicators of economic growth, real GDP, real per capita income are the basic indicators to understand that how the economy is been growing. But on the other side, Human Development Index, Physical Quality of Life Index and New Economic Welfare Index are the few indicators for economic development. So to conclude, let's understand that economic growth and economic development has a relationship. The basic relation is that economic growth is a necessary condition for economic development, but it's not sufficient on its own. So development involves sustainable and inclusive growth. Whatever we are doing, in whichever manner we are doing, all these things should be in a manner that we should lead towards the sustainability of economy. The welfare, well-being of the society should always be considered. Economic growth should not be on the cost of economic development, well-being of the nation, of the society. So that's all from my side. Thank you for the day. Soon catch you in another lecture. Bye.